Hello and welcome to the Best and Worst podcast. This is Season 1, Episode 0, or it's the trailer, or it's the About Us, however you want to look at it. My name is Peter Angel and I'm talking to Itai Guberman. Hello, Itai.
Hey. So this will be the episode where everything started.
It will be. This will be the episode where people are listening to us and thinking, wow, I want more.
Or, wow, who the hell are these guys?
Well, probably more to the case.
I think so.
Well, I guess we should introduce ourselves. My name is Peter Angel. I'm a CPA. I have a background in economics. I have an economics degree. So I am the numbers guy. I guess I find the business behind show business to be most interesting. I obviously enjoy movies and watching them, but I also enjoy delving into the numbers behind the actual films to work out if a film is financially successful.
I am Itai Guberman, and I actually also come from business originally. Got my bachelor's degree in business, in enterprise development, and several years later, I actually found my way back to what I love to do, which is really a more artistic endeavor, and I went and studied film, completed a master's degree in Tel Aviv University in Israel, and been a filmmaker ever since. I am the CEO and founder of My Indie Productions, production company, which also doubles as an independent artist community. But that's it in a nutsack.
So you studied in Israel, but I met you at a university in Australia, so you've spent a bit of time in both places.
Yeah, that was years ago, somewhere in the early 90s.
Let's say mid to late 90s, so let's say 20 plus years ago.
Anyway, it was in the 90s, a long time ago. We are kind of old. I hope we sound younger than we are. No. We met in business school.
That's right, La Trobe University up at Albury-Wodonga. Yeah.
Yeah, both decided to flee our homes and go and study in the country, which was a lot of fun. I thought it was a good choice. No regrets. Yeah, definitely took on independence for the first time, but with you being a fair bit older than me, I guess it was a different kind of situation for you.
Yeah, well, I just spent, I think, 7 years backpacking around the world. I decided it might be time to come back and get a degree and perhaps a real job.
Mm-hmm.
We met at university. We shared a house, I think, in the second year.
Yes, we did. Yep. With a few other students, kind of a shared house, which was a bit of fun.
It was, yeah. And the third year, I decided to go over to the US on an exchange and finish my degree over there at the University of Oregon, where I met my now wife. And then when I came back, we met up again and you and I shared another house.
But yeah, I'd like to say that you were missed, but that final year of uni is a bit of a blur, I must say. There was a lot of alcohol flowing in each and every direction. But yeah, after that, we met back in Melbourne and decided to share a flat.
We did, yeah. And then over the last 20, 25 years, I guess we've come in and out of each other's lives with different businesses and things like that.
Well, let's not forget, in the mid-2000s, let's say, about 2005 roughly, we actually started making films together, with me being more on the creative side and you more on the sort of producer side.
Yes.
So we did write together, co-writers on all those projects. And we made a short called The Collector that actually was a successful endeavor. I definitely enjoyed it. It was our first foray, I think, into filmmaking in every sense possible. And still, I must say, it was better than Tarantino's first.
Possibly, yeah. His first film that he never completed, but took 3 years. But maybe not on some of his later work.
Yeah, probably on par. No. We also tried to make a feature film that was a bit less successful at the time. I think we learned a lot of lessons and kind of moved away from filmmaking.
We did, yeah. We learnt lots of lessons, and my wife and I actually conceived our first child while filming that feature. That was probably the main reason that I moved away from the film industry to become a stay-at-home dad.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That was for a while, yeah. But yeah, that production kind of fell through for us, and you went to raise children for a bit, and I think I went into personal training, which was interesting. But a little bit after that, I decided to move back to Israel. I had a bit of spare time on my hands, decided to go to film school. That's when I went to Tel Aviv University and made some interesting friends and collaborators there. And it was a great time. A lot of people don't quite like the idea of film school. For me, that actually really kind of worked out. I made a couple of films there that I actually completed after film school that surprisingly are still doing okay in festivals, but just about reaching the end of the festival runs now.
Yes, you've won a lot of awards with your different films, haven't you?
I don't know about a lot, but I won a few. My sort of first released was a bit of a long short, 28-minute political thriller called Third Temple. Very, very kind of dark. And that one, actually, even in 2021, was still getting a few official selections in festivals. A little bit after that, I released a film that I actually shot before, but re-edited and got that out to festivals. That was Dolphin, which is a 12-minute revenge thriller. That one got a few Tarantino comparisons, even in reviews, which, funnily enough, the only way I was kind of giving some sort of an homage to Tarantino was in the end credits. The rest of the film was really more, De Palma, Gross Point Blank, a little bit of everything that I knew and loved about film. Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. That one won a few awards, but later on I made a short horror film called Ivy, which is actually part of a bigger film that I've still not completed, still working on it. COVID kind of got into that.
So if anybody out there's got a spare $50, $100, $150, $200,000, then sure that you could use it, Itai.
Or anyone out there who can put an end to this whole COVID business so I can get back to work. Yeah, that would be much appreciated. That one won the majority of awards that we won. It won 12 or 13 awards, something like that. It was accepted into about 40... got about 40 official selections. Did really well. I was very pleased with that little short. Somewhere in the middle, I actually made a comedy web series that I'm sure I'll be talking about now and again because it spoofs a lot of mainstream cinema. A web series, a 5-episode season that just recently I re-edited and edited a few more bits and pieces, and it will be released as a feature film. So yeah, that's kind of been mainly, my filmmaking journey so far. Did a lot of help with other people's projects, with promoting and with all kinds of little bits and pieces as an associate producer, stuff like that. Indie filmmaking has been a lot of fun. Not as prestigious probably as some, but still, it's been pretty great. And with this podcast, talking about film, not all the time, we talk about a lot of different things, but a lot of it has to do with film. So it's, yeah.
One thing that we haven't mentioned was that while I was the stay-at-home dad, we actually started up a film festival. So we had about 5 or 6 seasons of different film festivals with films from all over the world. I think we usually had 600 or 700 films entered. A very, very high standard of films often. Just as often we had some pretty poor films entered as well. But that was a lot of fun just to keep involved with the whole industry in some way or another.
Yeah, we had a bit of a comeback year with the festival a couple of years back. But that was also the last of it. We decided to pack it in after all those years.
Plus COVID as well.
Yeah, it didn't help.
Now, one thing in the 20 plus years that I've known you, I've always had trouble trying to work out how to pronounce your name. I started with Itai, and then it was Itai, and then it was Itai. How do you pronounce your name?
I think after all these years, everybody's been butchering it so much that I'm not even sure anymore. But yeah, any complaints, straight to my mother, please. The name is Itai. It is actually a biblical name, but it's an Israeli name. So obviously anyone not coming from a Hebrew background, as far as language, would have a tough time pronouncing it. So I've kind of given up, and it's like basically, call me whatever you want to call me, and I'll deal with it.
Yeah, it's a little bit Igor.
Yeah, a little bit Frankenstein. It's so difficult to pick a favorite character because it also has Cloris Leachman as Frau Blucher in this.
Oh, did I just hear a horse neighing in the background?
Yep. He was my boyfriend. Yeah, now Mel Brooks, we're both big fans of. But yeah, that's kind of what we're going to do. This is the best and worst podcast. So we're going to pick all kinds of topics, I guess, and kind of look at the best and worst sides of things. Mainly if it's about a filmmaker or actor or film series or whatever, we basically do our top best and worst lists and compare and look into their success as far as people's reactions to them, as far as budgets and returns and all that kind of thing, which I'm sure will be your side of things, Mr. Numbers Guy.
Exactly. And we'll also look at films that just struck a chord with us personally.
Yeah, and also being a bit of a film reviewer, I will try to bring in a bit of depth into the sort of critique of some of these films.
Yes, we'll probably be looking at a lot of film, but also a lot of TV and anything Seinfeld.
Yes, well, a lot of the time at uni and after university when we lived together, lots and lots of hours of Seinfeld viewing, which we are massive, I think, fans of. We're both rated as the top sitcom of all time.
If not the top, then well and truly up there. People often compare it to Friends and things, but there's just no comparison.
Not as far as we're concerned. And I'm pretty sure we'll have an episode on that at some point in the future. That'll be a lot harder, though, with, near 200 episodes.
Yeah, something like that. And in almost every episode, I think all bar one, George Costanza somehow manages to get into a bit of mischief in them all.
Pretending to be a marine biologist, and of course they go for a walk on the beach, and here you go, a beached whale.
Instead of, is anyone a doctor, I think someone yells out, is anyone a marine biologist?
And then she yells out, yes, and pushes George, and of course he has no choice.
Even at the end, when he's telling that story, and then he's talking about the golf ball, and then Kramer said, what is it, a Titleist? And George nods. Kramer says, yeah, holding one. George is saying about how everybody went wild. It was like Rocky. They come up, the girlfriend threw her arms around me, and tears were streaming down our faces, and I thought, now's the time to tell her I'm not a marine biologist. Jerry says, well, what happened? George says, she told me to go to hell, and I took the bus home. And that's just so George. He can't have a win, can he? So we met at university at La Trobe. We met in the library, is that right?
Yeah, I think one day I came into the library, you were already there, some kind of a study group or something, I'm not sure. But we were introduced, and I just remembered that we had some sort of a telepathic connection where we started basically taking the piss out of people without them realizing it.
In the nicest possible way, of course.
There was something actually to do with my name and my background, and something to do, we were talking about it, where people were trying to pick my accent, actually. And then you went on to tell people that you were French.
Yeah, that's right. I went on to tell people that English was my fourth language. First language was Swahili, and then I think there was some Baha Indonesian thrown in there.
That's right.
Something else, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and some sort of French dialect, I remember.
Yeah, that's right. And there was one guy that was there that was very, very gullible and actually believed it. He was complimenting me on how well I spoke English.
Well, most people didn't quite know how to take anything we were saying because they didn't really know us. So it was a lot of people we were meeting for the first time. There were lots of youngish students coming from Melbourne and from other areas around to study at Albury Wodonga. So we all met there for the first time, all in the same boat. And of course, you and I, for some reason, without ever talking about it, had to take the opportunity and just prank people.
Well, as you do.
We were known as the George Clooney and Brad Pitt of university. Not at all.
No, I don't think we're the same standard of George Clooney in pretty much anything. Definitely not pranks. It was in the bathroom right next to the toilet, and Cat would go 2 or 3 times a day, and Richard Kind, he wouldn't clean up after the cat very often. So Clooney would scoop it up and put it in the toilet and flush and stuff. Anyway, one day he decided that he'd play a joke on Richard Kind. So he was putting it in the toilet, and Richard Kind was, oh, geez, the cat hasn't been to the toilet for 4 or 5 days. I haven't seen anything in the kitty litter. Of course, Clooney had been cleaned up. So Clooney decided to go with it and go, oh, that's interesting. Well, then Clooney made sure that he cleaned up after the cat every single time. And it got to be about 4 or 5 days, and Richard Kind's getting really worried, so he took the cat to the vet to try to work out if there's something wrong with it. And the vet couldn't see anything wrong with it, but gave him some sort of Metamucil type of medicine for cats, and he was giving that to the cat. And now all of a sudden the cat's going to the toilet 7 or 8 times a day, and Clooney's racing in there and flushing down the toilet, and it goes another week. And Richard Kind's getting really, really worried because this medicine isn't working, the cat's not crapping, and so Clooney thinks, oh yeah, enough's enough. So Clooney decides he'll take this big human dump in the kitty litter and puts the kitty litter over it, and then just walks away, and he's like, oh, I'm just sitting there watching Jeopardy or something on TV, and Richard Kind comes out and says, what the hell's going on? He couldn't believe that this crap had come out of the cat. I could possibly have passed as Jonah Hill, but yeah, not Brad Pitt.
I could pass for all 3 of them at different points. Different points in time.
Sure.
Like you said, in my own mind. I'm probably more of
Peter Boyle?
A young Peter Boyle. I would wear that badge with pride. More of a Marty Feldman.
If only. Yeah, if only.
Yeah, I wish. She was a handsome fella.
Yeah. Along with watching shows like Seinfeld, I think we both enjoyed shows like The Simpsons and Family Guy. I actually met my wife watching an episode of The Simpsons over in the US. It's probably gone a little bit past its use by in a lot of ways. It's been going for a long, long time. It's amazing how these shows just keep coming in and out of your life.
So hang on, you love Seinfeld. You met your wife somehow during a Simpsons episode. Your first date was to see Schindler's List.
No.
Well, you had to. It was an homage to Seinfeld.
I think our first date might have actually been watching Shawshank Redemption. I think she threw up and I held her hair back, and that's when she knew I was the one.
Why did she throw up during Shawshank?
I don't think it was Shawshank. I think it was something she ate, or maybe me. I'm not sure.
Okay, it's one of the two. Either way, promising.
My life, at least, seems to be revolving around popular culture, doesn't it?
Well, at least film and TV, let's say. Not necessarily popular culture, but yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it'll be mainly you and I talking about mainly film and television. But we'll probably be bringing in guests from our past and present and, well, probably not future. We don't know about that yet.
Yeah, well, it would be a bit unfair of us to kind of lend our opinions and our takes on film with nobody asking for it and just be us doing it. It would be nice to get some other people to come in on the fun.
When has that ever stopped us?
Yeah, true. Hoping that people listening to the show would actually enjoy hearing us talk as much as we enjoy hearing ourselves talk.
Unlikely.
to the point where it's like an earworm, where it just doesn't leave their minds, almost in the way of like a Beverly Hills Cop tune.
So I was watching Beverly Hills Cop 1 and then Beverly Hills Cop 2, and so I was listening to that theme song for about 3 hours. At least that's what I should have been hearing. But all I could think of was that episode with Peter Griffin from The Family Guy. And so in my head for another day or two afterwards is, and then another. As far as the guests that we get to come in and talk about other things, although I enjoy music, I don't know as much about it as you and a few of our other friends do, so maybe the guests might be coming in to help us out with the music.
Music is a bit of fun. It's going to be an interesting change. For most episodes, it'll be about like film and TV. A change is as good as a holiday, apparently, which none of us are going on at the moment with COVID.
Not in a hurry, no.
So, yeah.
And the best and worst will probably be more popular culture. I doubt that I'll be able to talk you into doing a best and worst sailboats for circumnavigation or coastal sailing. Comparing swans to Bavaria and Beneteaus. I'm guessing you probably wouldn't have too much to bring to the party on that one.
I thought you were getting into types of cancer there for a second. the best and worst of. Yeah, well, that's going to be a fun episode.
Would be for me.
It will, apparently. Sailboats we'll stay away from, but, we might, if we find the right topics and veer into all kinds of areas, maybe sports, maybe whatever. If it's interesting enough and we can do a best and worst, we will try to attack it in one way or another. Yeah,
and it'd be nice if anyone listening could give us a few ideas as well.
Yeah, throw us your suggestions of best and worst, ideas for episodes, and we will do our best to comply. I don't know, episodes that are in some way related to Academy Awards, things like that, covering directors, actors, TV shows. It'll be fun. The most important thing, is we'll try to make it fun and interesting, something where we can attack it from both directions of
show and business.
Well, yeah, not so much show, I was thinking. I was thinking more about the art side, but, but yeah, from the business side of things. In the last decade or so, dealing with indie film, I find that the one thing that indie artists need most is some sort of an idea of the business side. It's something that most artists lack. So, we're not going to get too much into it. We're going to try to keep it light and fun.
Yeah.
The business and the art sort of pin them against each other. And I'll win every time.
Yep. Oh, of course you will.
Yep. Hey, I'm Israeli. We don't back down easy.
The arrogant, no, what was it?
Know-it-all Israeli bastard.
That's it? Yep, that's it.
That was my crown at university. That was a fun little nickname.
Exactly right. You wore it well.
I still do.
Yep, and as we mentioned before, we'll be trying to do an episode a week. We'll do it in seasons so that we can have a bit of time off at some stage. I'm thinking the seasons could be anything from 20 to 30 to 40 episodes long.
Yeah.
You got to aim high.
Yeah, be good fun. So, as long as we enjoy it, I think we'll be able to get these out once a week.
Yeah, but we'll do it in seasons. That way everyone will know exactly when an episode's going to come out. We'll make sure that we put it out every week so people aren't wondering where we got to.
Yeah. So tune in next week when we'll come out with our first episode. We will promote the episodes on a weekly basis a few days before the episodes hit. We're sure to have something that will be interesting for everyone.
That's our aim anyway.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's see how we go, and hopefully everybody will enjoy coming along for the ride. All right. See you next week.
Thanks for listening to the trailer for the Best and Worst podcast. If you enjoyed it, please recommend it to your family and friends, and also click on the subscribe button. You can also follow us on social media for more information on how to become involved in the show. Thanks again.